the Animal Husbandry Minister took yesterday. The promises that the Congress made pre-elections and the guarantees, or whether or not they are going to be fulfilled, that's a matter of protest again by the BJP today. We saw several members of the BJP today take the protest to Bengaluru's Freedom Park, where not only were the BJP workers and MLAs gathered in large numbers, they also had cows and buffaloes with them as a mark of protest against the Animal Husbandry Minister's comment about cow slaughter, that if buffaloes can be slaughtered, then why not cows? That raised hackles of the BJP, who upped the ante against the Congress party and against the state government on multiple issues, including failure to deliver on the 5 guarantees that the Congress made pre-elections.
Now Congress government is saying that they'll sit and discuss regarding the repealing of anti-cow slaughter laws, and you're protesting against it. What do you have to say about this?
So, the Congress, instead of giving good governance, development, they are always trying to disrupt the peace of the society. They are just trying to politicize. Congress means politicization. Congress means politics. Congress means disturbance. Congress means anti-people. They stand for all these things. Now, the power tariff, rise of the power tariff is really condemnable. They fought against the price rise. They fought against the inflation. Now, they are responsible for the inflation. They are responsible for the price rise.
So Chief Minister Siddaramaiah said that the Congress government did not hike the tariff, but it was done during the month of May by the Electricity Commission. So what do you have to say about this?
See, whatever it might be, see, what happens, regulatory bodies, whenever there's a liability, whenever there's a subsidy, whenever all other liabilities are there, how else they can compensate? Inefficiency of an organization is passed on to a genuine customer. A genuine, sincere customer has to pay a price of the insincerity of the officers, of the government, and they are paying the price. Now as in a government, now as in a popular chief minister, it was his responsibility to set right the things.
Regarding the cow slaughter law, Siddaramaiah sir has said that they will take a decision on it after the meeting. What do you have to say about this? And also, we've seen the cabinet minister, Congress cabinet minister's statement on this.
See, actually, the cabinet minister of animal husbandry minister, Mr. Venkatesh, does not know anything about the cow slaughters thing. Actually, the Congress only brought this law earlier, and we have strengthened that. Actually, that is one. See, we call it as our mother. See, in India, see, we call this cow as our mother. So, you wanted to slaughter your mother? That is the thing what we are going to ask. If at all they wanted to take this back, we are not going to keep quiet. See, actually, this is not the only thing we are protesting today. Even the power tariff, in one hand they have given the guarantee, in the other hand they have raised the price also, and many conditions have brought now. So this is the thing they are playing with the people of this Karnataka.
What moral right they have? ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ 10 ಗಂಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೊಟ್ರ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸಾಲ ಮನ್ನಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ ನೀರಾವರಿಗೆ 1.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ ವಾಟ್ moral right they have? ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅವರು ಹೇಳದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೂ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಲು ಹುಡುಕಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೀಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಇವರು ಜನವಿರೋಧಿ ಪಕ್ಷ ಇದು. ಅವರು ಅಧಿಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಲಂಚ ಹೊಡೆದು ರಾಜ್ಯನ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಹೆಸರು ತಗೊಬಂದು ಹೋದರು. ಈಗ ಅವ್ರು ನಮಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಹೇಳೋದು? ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀತಿರಲ್ಲ, ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ಈ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿ. ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ 165 ಭರವಸೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ 158 ಇಂದಿರಾ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು? ಖುಷಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು? ಖುಷಿ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು? ಶೂ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು? ಸೈಕಲ್ ಕೂಡ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರು? ಒಂದ ಎರಡ ಹೇಳೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ
Akshara, my colleague, joining us live to get us more details. Now, Akshara, we've seen the kind of blame game that has taken place between the BJP and the Congress. But what is the situation on ground? What does the voter feel as far as these 5 guarantees is concerned and this electricity scheme of free electricity up to 200 units is concerned?
Well, you see, in the run-up to the elections, this is what appealed to voters of Karnataka and ensured that the Congress emerged victorious with an absolute majority. So, when you take a look at the election campaign, all these 5 guarantees were the highlight of the Congress campaign in the state of Karnataka, and the results were very clear. And during the run-up to the elections, there were no conditions as such put forth by the Congress party. That is what the BJP is highlighting right now, stating that no such conditions were put forth, and right now you have conditions that are being put forth regarding all these schemes. And if you take a look at all the 5 guarantees that Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has already passed out in order to implement all these 5 guarantees with certain conditions. Well, if you are very happy with the guarantees that are being rolled out, and they also seem to say that these conditions are reasonable and it would quite be helpful for them, especially for the below poverty line people, and also women passengers who are allowed to travel free in public transport. They are quite happy with this. But right now, BJP once again hitting back at the Congress party, stating that no conditions had been put forth earlier. Right now you have certain conditions being put forth, and also they pointed out the fact that when it comes to implementation of the 200 units of free electricity, there has been a hike in the electricity tariff, which once again Congress has hit back at the BJP party, stating that it was not the Congress party, had got nothing to do with it. It is not the Congress party which has passed out the order. It was the Electricity Regulatory Commission which has passed out the order. But once again, the blame game continues. And if you take a look at the ground sentiment, there people are quite happy despite the reasonable conditions being laid out there. And once again, a political war of words, political slugfest continues in the state of Karnataka regarding the implementation of the guarantees. Right now, 3 guarantees have been implemented, and the dates also been rolled out when they will be implemented and in action, and the other 2 guarantees are yet to be implemented. But BJP says that they will continue to stage protests in the Karnataka regarding these conditions, and also the issue of anti-cow slaughter law, which has been once again been raked up, and debate has also come up in the state of Karnataka. And once again, BJP has said that they will continue to protest if it is being repealed or any amendments are being made to the anti-cow slaughter law.
Are we going to see the BJP up the ante once again? Today we saw several MLAs were there at the Freedom Park protest. Are we expecting similar protests in the coming few days as well?
Well, yes, absolutely. Even yesterday and day before yesterday, BJP conduct staged protests across Karnataka, not just in Bengaluru, in various districts of Karnataka regarding this particular hike in electricity tariff, and also especially on the repeal of anti-cow slaughter law. Remember, there's no particular decision yet taken by the Siddaramaiah government regarding this. He has told that he'll speak to his cabinet ministers and then come to a decision whether to make amendments or completely repeal the anti-cow slaughter law. But once again, there's already protests here in state of Karnataka. What the BJP party says is that they consider cow as the holy animal, as their mother, and they wouldn't let this anti-cow slaughter law to be repealed. And they also state that there's already an existing law in 1964 that is being amended, so there's no necessity for them to repeal the anti-cow slaughter law. But on the other hand, Congress says that it is a financial burden on the farmers of Karnataka who will not be able to take care of the cattle, aged cattle, so it will be a financial burden for them. So keeping this and various other aspects in mind, they are likely expected to repeal the anti-cow slaughter law or bring amendments. And yes, BJP has said that it will continue to stage protests across Karnataka regarding this particular issue.
And we could expect it to echo once the assembly is in session as well there. Do stay on with me, Akshara. S. Prakash of the BJP joining us on this broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir, here on CNN News 18. How do you respond to what the Congress says as far as the guarantees go? They say that we have set a timeline to fulfill all guarantees that were promised to the people, and this particular rise in electricity tariff is not done by them. It was done in the month of May when there was no government, when it wasn't the Congress party that was in power.
There was an increase, the reduction of the milk procuring price by the KMF. Soon after the Siddaramaiah came to know about it, it has been withdrawn. Let the similar yardstick be applied even for the electricity bill tariff hike. If it has been raised even before the Congress party came to power, they can always take it back. What is stopping him? They started saying everyone will get the power free. everyone will have to write from the first day. But it is not. It was not done. Now there are many conditions, many things has to be filled, uploaded. Only then they will be eligible for. And moreover, it is not 200 units. Whoever was using about 50, 70 units per month will get only to 70 to 77 units per month only. It is not 200 for them. So they have changed the goalpost, and they will continue to change the goalpost in the coming days as the burden increases.
We'll wait and watch as to how the Congress reacts to this and if the BJP continues to up the ante both politically and in terms of on ground with the protest. But S. Prakash, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. The political blame game meanwhile continues between the two parties. Listen in to some of those reactions.
ಯಾವುದೇ ಆ ರೀತಿಯ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾವನೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ಸದ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಸದ್ಯ ಆ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾವನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಚರ್ಚೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟಿಪ್ಪಣಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರಿಯಾದದ್ದಲ್ಲ.
कांग्रेस पार्टी मतलब धोखा. Congress equals धोखा. Their guarantees are fake guarantees like Chinese guarantees. Because Congress has started betraying the people of Karnataka. You remember the Gruha Jyoti scheme? 200 units was supposed to be given free to every consumer. Well, Congress, instead of fulfilling that promise, has now allowed the power tariffs to be increased in Karnataka. 2.89 rupee increase per unit for Bescom consumers and 70 paisa per unit tariff increase for all users across all categories in Karnataka. And yes, the 200 units free. By the way, there's a big rider and terms and condition put there. Congress guarantees and promises are knuckly and fake, but nobody is asking this question to them.
ಬಾಡಿಗೆದಾರರಿಗೂ ಉಚಿತ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಾಡಿಗೆದಾರರಿಗೂ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಬಡವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, 200 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ, ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು 200 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಬಿಲ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಬ್ರು 50 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಒಬ್ರು 60 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಒಬ್ರು 70 ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಒಬ್ರು 100 ಯೂನಿಟ್, ಒಬ್ರು 150, ಒಬ್ರು 180 ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಾಡಿಗೆದಾರರಿಗೂ ಅನ್ವಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ವಯ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಬಾಡಿಗೆದಾರರು, ಮನೆ ಯಜಮಾನರು, ಅವ್ರು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಬಾಡಿಗೆದಾರರು ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಹಾಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
We're shifting focus now to the horrific train crash that came to the fore on Friday night from Odisha, in which unfortunately 288 lives have been lost at last count. The CBI has now filed an FIR on the recommendations of the Indian Railway Board. They are going to be taking over. They in fact have taken over the probe. The team of the CBI was at the accident site this morning as well. A case has now been registered to investigate the train disaster as to what exactly transpired. Was it negligence? Was it a lapse? Or was it a mere accident that could not have been averted? Sources indicate that boom replacement work was carried out on a section which could have led to a problem in the interlocking system. There are several questions that come up, which is why the probe was handed over to the CBI. But that's not the only investigation that is taking place. There are two parallel investigations that are taking place, one that of the CBI and the other of the Railway Safety Board as well. That continues even as the CBI is beginning its investigation with the filing of this particular FIR. Now, there are several theories that are doing the rounds, several questions that will have to be answered by the CBI with their investigation. Let's put forth the three theories that have now emerged that perhaps will be on which the questioning of the staff will happen and the investigation of the CBI will depend. The first particular theory is that of whether there was a hurried shortcut as far as repair work is concerned. There was a repair work that was being done at the level crossing barrier, like I mentioned in the beginning as well. The staff was fixing a malfunctioned boom barrier. When that repair work was happening, there is a suspicion that perhaps it was a shortcut job on the location box, which is why this hurried job disturbed the interlocking system and unfortunately the trains collided into each other, leading to these loss of lives. The second theory is that of sabotage. That is something that the CBI will also have to probe, whether there was criminal negligence, whether there was human interference more than what we initially thought. This is a fail-safe system. The interlocking system is what experts believe. That could have been deliberately tinkered with. That's a suspicion. The hint of interference with the electronic system is something that will have to now be probed. The lens is also on multiple coincidences at the time of accident. Were they mere coincidences? That is also something that will have to be looked into. The security of the relay room is also under the scanner. Was that tampered with? Remember, that room is under lock and key. Did someone barge in? Was there any sort of tampering as far as the security of the room is concerned? That is also something the CBI will now have to unearth. That now brings us to theory number 3, which has emerged, and that is of a system flaw in itself. Whether there was a technical snag or a glitch in the system as a whole, is that something that led to the crash? Remember, a similar accident was averted in Balasore in February. At that time, there were serious flaws that were highlighted in terms of a public letter. A letter that has now been put out by the opposition as well to raise questions of why that letter was not taken seriously just 3 months ago. There were corrections that were asked for by a very senior officer back in February when that major tragedy was averted. The access to signal maintainer is now under lens. Whether there is a systemic flaw that needs to be looked into. Is that something that went ignored, which is why this crash happened? That is also something that is now a matter of investigation. CNN News 18 has been on ground trying to piece together the mystery, even as these two investigation agencies do so on their part. Take a look at some of these reports.
कोई रेल गेट के ऊपर कोई काम चल रहा था?
हाँ, रेल गेट के ऊपर काम चल रहा था।
मतलब क्या कुछ समझ में आ रहा था? कितने दिन?
काम तो बहुत दिन से चल रहा था। जो लेवल क्रॉसिंग है, वो लेवल क्रॉसिंग का काम चल रहा था, और जो गेट का बिल्डिंग है, वो बिल्डिंग दूसरे साइड से इस साइड से आ रहा था, तो नया बिल्डिंग हो रहा था इस लेफ्ट साइड में। तो बहुत लोग काम कर रहे थे। हर टाइम काम चलता है, रात में भी काम चलता है इधर।
कितना दिन से ये
लेवल क्रॉसिंग का काम लेवल क्रॉसिंग का काम 2-2.5 महीना हो गया चल रहा है।
अच्छा, ये
नया लाइन एक एक्सप्लांट हो रहा है ना, इसलिए।
बालासोर में हमारी एक आरआरसी है, तो एक टीम वहाँ हमेशा रहती है। तो इतला मिलते ही वो 10 मिनट के अंदर रवाना हुई और 1 घंटा 15 मिनट के अंदर वो स्थल पे पहुंच गई थी पहली टीम। फिर हमने 8 टीमें और रवाना की, 9 टीमें, ताकि हम वहाँ एक पर्याप्त से अधिक मात्रा में उपस्थित रहे। रिजर्व हमने कहीं और रखने की बजाय वहीं पैक कर दिया, ताकि वहाँ मैन पावर की इक्विपमेंट की शॉर्टेज ना हो। ऑर्डर है, बड़ी अच्छी फोर्स है उड़ीसा की जो डिज़ास्टर रिस्पांस फोर्स है। कम्युनिटी ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया। मैं ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि लोग बहुत इकट्ठे हो गए। कई बार हम देखते हैं कि इतने इकट्ठे होने से काम करने में दिक्कत होती है, लेकिन उन्होंने इतना अच्छा योगदान दिया, खाना खिलाया जो भी लोग वहाँ थे ट्रेन में जो बाहर निकले थे। बहुत एक दुखद हादसा हुआ है। ऑपरेशन खत्म हो चुका है, रेलवे ट्रैक्स भी सक्रिय हो गए हैं काफ़ी हद तक। सर्च उसकी बहुत बार हो गई है, तो जितने भी विक्टिम्स उनको वहाँ से निकाल लिया गया है।
The Commissioner of Railway Safety is doing their investigation. Yesterday they have interrogated a couple of people. They are doing their investigation in their own way. But what the CBI has to do, if you see the GRP FIR, in that FIR it's clearly written that it's negligence, because the sections which has been given 378 and 34, all those sections clearly means negligence. But the FIR has been done against unknown. So here where the question rises that was there any human intervention from this relay room, because this automatic logic system, software automatic logic system is already processed here, and this room is not open. Now if you see that what happened that night, that evening, if somebody wants to know that, we came here, we were trying to find out that if there is any CCTV somewhere, but we did not see any CCTV. So even if somebody would have been gone here, we'll just check it on live, that whether there is any CCTV which can really show us, which can show that what happened that day. You will not find any CCTV. At least, apparently physically it does not seem that there is any CCTV here.
More breaking news is now coming in. We're learning that the Coromandel Express is going to resume from tomorrow. It starts at 3:20 p.m. from Howrah. So now we know that all lines have been restored. The train movement was restored just a few days after the accident took place. Now we're given to understand that Coromandel Express, which was one of the 3 trains that was involved in this horrific crash on Friday night, That is also going to be resuming its operations beginning tomorrow. It leaves from Howrah at 3:20 p.m. in the afternoon. Komalika, my colleague, getting us more details. Yes, Komalika.
Yes, the Kathmandu Express, what we are getting it, what we came to know from the railway PRO also, that from tomorrow the normal services will start on. So 3:20 it will start on the Coromandel Express. I think it's going to start from Shalimar because it was a Shalimar Coromandel Express. So this is going to start from this correction of what we are running. It's like Shalimar Coromandel Express. So it's going to start from Shalimar at around 3:20 tomorrow, and obviously it's almost 4 to 5 days again at the same path, and the Coromandel things are coming back to normalcy, and tomorrow again Coromandel will start from Shalimar.
Right, Komalika, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. The probe continues as far as the train crash goes, but the politics is also escalating. We had the West Bengal Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee, who is in Odisha today. She was in Bhubaneswar. She was going to be in Cuttack as well to meet with the survivors of this horrific train crash. Meanwhile, opposition parties are upping the ante against Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw. The resignation demand continues to echo. Congress has been continuously lashing out at the centre. They're raking up the lack of safety systems, a lack of accountability and alleged misuse of central agencies. Amid the criticism for Railway Minister, JDS Chief and former Prime Minister H.D. Deve Gowda has come out in support of him and the BJP. He says that Ashwini Vaishnaw is doing the best he can and call for resignation while the inquiry is still underway is unwise.
Affected area से गुजर चुकी हैं, बहुत तेजी से नॉर्मलाइजेशन हो रहा है, ऑपरेशन नॉर्मलाइज हो रहा है. साथ ही साथ हम लोगों का पूरा फोकस आज दिन भर रहा किस तरह से पैसेंजर्स के परिवारों तक पहुंचकर बंगाल में, झारखंड में, बिहार में, जहां भी हमारे पास सूचना है वहां पे रेलवे के कर्मचारी कोशिश कर रहे हैं परिवारजनों के साथ संपर्क करने की. और मैं सभी देश भर में परिवारजनों को निवेदन भी करूंगा कि आपके जो भी आपको सुविधा चाहिए, जो भी आपको फैसिलिटी चाहिए, आप सारे कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर्स दिए जा चुके हैं, कॉन्टैक्ट करें और जल्दी से जल्दी इस आगे बढ़ें.
Thanks to all of them for their kind cooperation and action. After the incident, the Odisha government and the Bengal government, they worked totally together, and they also from their side, they are giving free treatment and free everything. And from our side also, we have 3-4 camps here also. Balasore also we have the camp, and we have the camps in this border of the Odisha also. So we are helping them also. You know, we have already sent more than 100 ambulances.
The politics continues. We'll keep a track of that and the investigation as far as the Odisha train crash goes. But for now, a quick break.
Interference was there in the signaling because, you know, a boom is also connected to a signal system. So boom is basically, you know, a level crossing you can consider. Boom is basically a barrier that is generally used at level crossing. And this boom is generally connected to signaling system. So it is possible that, you know, some sort of interference was done in order to replace the boom. And in that process, something else happened, and you know, the point was set to the another direction. And in fact, the panel was not showing any you know, error. Now, the point and the argument is that if it has happened, whether or not it was intentional, and this is the reason why everyone is stressing on CBI investigation now, because CBI will let us know as to if there was some sort of conspiracy behind this, if it was some sort of intention, some sort of specific mindset, or if it was a mistake.
Our first story continues to be an update on the heartbreaking incident that took place in Odisha, the 3-train collision that led to the loss of more than 230 lives on Friday night. Now, you might remember that the Railway Board had recommended that the investigation into the incident be handed over to the CBI. Central Bureau of Investigation teams are, as we speaking, arriving at the Odisha crash site. On your screens right now, you can see those visuals. The individual in pink is reportedly a CBI official who has arrived on the site itself to conduct that investigation. Remember, while the cause of the incident itself that played out on Friday has to some degree already been recognized. So sources say that it could have been that a possible last-minute fix is what led to the accident. Essentially, that boom replacement work was carried out on a section, and that's what could have led to that problem in interlocking. So they have identified the technical cause, but the CBI investigation is reportedly to investigate whether or not that intervention was done deliberately with malintention or by mistake. That's why the CBI has gotten involved. Now, you'll remember opposition parties like the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee have criticized the involvement of the CBI. They've said that typically the CBI's involvement does not yield quick solutions. My colleague Kamalika is with us right now to bring us more context. Kamalika, tell us more about what it is that the CBI is on the ground to identify. Tell us, for example, who the perpetrators are. Some sources said that the Railway Board had already identified who the individuals responsible were, but the CBI was investigating the cause. Is that correct, or is there more complexity there?
See, CBI will go for a, as I was pointing out, whether there was a malified human intervention or not. That is the question which CBI has to find that answer. That was it a human error, or was it the human intervention was there with a malified intention? If it's a malified intention, then that's a criminal act, and then that will be investigated in separate way. So that's why CBI today coming and CBI's investigation becomes very important as well as the criminal part of the case is concerned. If it's a negligence, if it's a human error, then that is looked after by the obviously the railway security, the chairman of railway security team who is there doing the investigation. But whether this was done with some malified intention or not, that is to be seen. That they have to find.
Okay. Kamalika, I do want to ask you right now, what is the size of the CBI team that has arrived on the ground? Can you bring our audiences more details about who the individuals are from the CBI?
3-4 obviously officials are there, and higher officials will also be there, and they have taken the initial briefing from that, and they are in the ground and they are trying to get more details about what it is, and then obviously they'll go for further investigation.
Okay. All right. Kamalika, if I can actually ask you to stay with us, we're now going to share with our audiences some of the theories around what led to the accident on Friday. Behind me over here, the footage that you're looking at right now are visuals from the accident site on Friday night. But let's take a quick look at the possible different theories involved. Theory 1, of course, and this is the theory that we were talking about right now. This is currently what experts believe could be the main theory, that a hurried shortcut repair work process led to this happening. This was possibly a shortcut that was used by people on the ground to avoid possibly having to delay both of the trains, the Coromandel Express and the other train. So we're not talking, of course, about the goods train. Now, that is theory number 1. The theory is that staff who were fixing the malfunctioning boom barrier didn't do a thorough enough job. It was essentially a shortcut job on the location box. Now, that's theory number 1. And this hurried job possibly disturbing the interlocking system, that's the possible theory. Now, theory number 2, the one that we told you about, also is being investigated, is this question of whether or not sabotage was involved. So what intention were those who were fixing this system on the ground working with? That's where the CBI comes in. This is where the Railway Board has said they do require the CBI to step in to identify if that fail-safe system was tinkered with. Were those who were tinkering with it doing so deliberately or not? Because there is a hint of interference within the electronic system. So the lens is on the coincidence of the time of the accident. And what it's particularly important to understand over here is that the security in the relay room, remember, is where all of these decisions are made. The security of the relay room, whether or not there were CCTV cameras that can tell us more about what happened, all of that is under the scanner. Now, theory number 3, and this is also particularly important. Theory number 3 is whether or not there was a flaw in the system. So what are the chances that there was a system issue here? And if so, who would be persecuted? This is question number 3. Now, remember, right after this incident came to light, we were able to share with you that a similar incident was averted back in February in Karnataka. In that incident, officials involved in the ground had alerted railway ministry members, railway board members, that there were possible problems in the signalling system involved in trains across the country. They'd alerted that it could lead to larger problems. Why were those problems not addressed? That would remain the larger question here. So these are the 3 theories. My colleague Akash is with us now on the phone to bring us more details about this entire story. Let's go over to Akash right now to understand. Akash, we've been telling our audiences that one of the most prominent theories is that a possible quick fix was used on the ground by workers, and that quick fix was perhaps not successful. That's what possibly led to this accident. But then there is also the possibility still that it was a systems failure. Can you tell us more about how the CBI can ascertain this, especially because the CBI, we know, is already looking to identify what the intention of the people on the ground was. But how can they identify this more technical aspect, Akash?
Right. So, Toya, first of all, it is important to mention here that other than CBI, yes, the particular case has been recommended to CBI. In fact, CBI has, started its investigation. But other than CBI,
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. There are satellite images of the Galwan Valley by Maxar Technologies that shows new Chinese military infrastructure in place along the line of actual control. These satellite images were taken in February of 2023. At the center of the image is the Galwan River, which is with a number of Chinese positions along the banks. As per the Chatham House report, China has built an extensive set of installations establishing an ecosystem to support troop deployments. These images show expanded roads, outposts and modern weatherproof camps that are equipped with parking areas, solar panels and even helipads. An official reaction from the Indian government is awaited so far, but this also puts the lens back on whether China is actually serious on the disengagement process that is taking place along the line of actual control. Remember, as far as the Eastern Ladakh area is concerned, there have been several levels of commander-level talks between the two countries. The sticky points are still there. Depsang remains one of them. This particular satellite imagery that we've accessed now, that is part of this think tank's report, that talks about the Aksai Chin area in particular. There are enforcements, there are reinforcements that China has done in terms of establishing their military infrastructure is concerned along the line of actual control. And this particular report talks about that military build-up along the Aksai Chin Lake and the Aksai Chin area. Akash, my colleague, joining us to get us more details. He has the report with him, which shows these new imagery, the before and after, and what China is doing now. Yes, Akash.
So, Poonam, this is the map that is somewhere showing the development as of now. You see, this is the disputed area, the Aksai Chin area, which is a part of Eastern Ladakh, but as of now is administrated by China. Initially, we used to have scattered presence of China and in fact the posts, but now they have intensified their arrangement here. In fact, in the past few months, as per the this particular report, in the past few months, they have built new, connecting roads. They have built new posts. And also this satellite imagery somewhere is suggesting that post Galwan clash, China is also with, working on all-weather connectivity to all of its regions, all of its, forward post border areas. As far as this particular image is concerned, this is a satellite image, and it has been categorically mentioned in this particular image that these images were taken in February 2023 and it involves basically a combination of images from last 6 months. It means that as of now, we are reading data from October 2022 to February 2023. And these are the images. You see, this is the area of Galwan clash that happened in 2020, where we lost 20 of our Jawans. And after that, we have seen the conditions. After this, this particular map is very important. The red, boxes that you are seeing in this particular map are the Chinese posts, basically. If I can zoom a bit, you can see these are the red boxes that are somewhere, depicting Chinese posts. And on the other side, we have blue boxes that are the Indian deployment. India, as of now, is reciprocating what they are seeing on the other side. And in fact, talking about this particular map, this map is somewhere showing that, the kind of developments that have been talked about in the past few months. In fact, in 2022, we saw that how in the December in Arunachal Pradesh area, China tried to change the status quo, in which, after which we saw that how Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, in fact, clarified in Lok Sabha that how it was an attempt and how it was, we responded, in fact, to that particular, intention of that China. After Yangtze, in fact, we have seen that, Chinese defense minister, in fact, came to India. Bilaterals happened between Rajnath Singh and the minister, but China is somewhere, not accepting the fact that there is some sort of arrangement, engagement, and also the escalation in eastern Ladakh area. And this is the reason why, we are saying that we know about the intention of China. And it is not specific to this particular sector. We have seen that how in middle sector, in fact, China is in fact working on several sort of infrastructure works, because we have reported in the past that how in the middle sector there were reports, and in fact sources within the defense ministry are confirming that how in the middle sector, in fact, middle sector is one of the most peaceful sector, peaceful border as far as, India-China border is concerned. But in middle sector as well, China is aggressively building infrastructure, and this infrastructure, in fact, includes helipads, and this particular infrastructure is, for any sort of contingency that will somewhere give sort of advantage to China. As of now, this is concerning, but Indian Armed Forces, in fact, Indian Army has maintained this in past, that we are reciprocating what we are seeing on the other side. And, as far as infrastructure work, all the deployment is concerned, so we have adequate, Jawans in the particular area in eastern Ladakh and, alongside the line of actual control.
And even though we don't have a response from the Indian government so far, we do know what the army has been doing as far as the Border Roads Organization is also concerned. We do know that India too is fortifying its borders on this side of the frontier as well, with the kind of roads and the kind of connectivity projects that we are looking at.
Exactly. In fact, Border Road Organization is not only working in Eastern Ladakh, but in Arunachal Pradesh and in Uttarakhand as well. Because, Border Road Organization has an aim to connect border areas. And, they are working on all-weather connectivity. We know the kind of terrain we have in Eastern Ladakh and also in Arunachal Pradesh. But despite the fact that we have the difficult terrain, Border Road Organization, and not just Border Road Organization, but, Indian Army as of now has a focus of providing the connectivity to the forward posts, and, all the agencies are working in that in this regard.
Right. Any misadventure from China's side will be met with an equal rebuttal. That has always been the stand both of the military and of the central government. For the moment, Akash, though, thank you so much for getting us the latest of this particular build-up that we see along the line of actual control. We are shifting focus now to what's transpiring as far as the Russia-Ukraine war goes. A massive blast this morning damaged a major dam in Russian-controlled part of southern Ukraine. The incident led to major evacuation and fears for large-scale devastation. After which, Ukraine accused Russia forces of committing an act of ecocide. The incident was caught on camera. The video showed a deluge of water gushing from the huge breach in the dam. There were multiple buildings at the entrance of the dam that were also heavily damaged. Now, the critical Nova Kakhovka dam spans the Dnipro river. It's a major waterway that runs through southeastern Ukraine, and there are multiple towns and cities downstream, including Kherson, a city of some 300,000 people before Moscow's invasion. Now, residents downstream from this particular dam in Kherson were told to do everything and anything that they can to save their life. The focus was on evacuating people. Following the dam breach, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that this destruction only confirms for the whole world that Russian forces must be expelled from every single corner of Ukrainian land. Zina Kondratyeva, senior journalist from Russia, joins us live to put this in perspective. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. I want to begin by asking you, we saw this major dam that was blown up. There was severe flooding that has been caused. There's scare to the nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia as well. Ukraine now points to Russia. How do you respond?
At the moment, we get some conflicting news from South Ukraine. The dam is located near Kherson. The city is controlled by Ukrainian government, Ukrainian troops, and the other bank of the river is controlled by Russian forces. So both sides blamed each other, but it's not yet clear whether the dam structures were blown up or there was missile strikes, or as we get from some local reports, again unconfirmed, that the structures were weak because of the previous shelling. This area was shelled since October last year, when Russians retreated from Kherson to the other bank of Dnipro river, and Ukrainians took over Kherson.
Sure, but we've seen the kind of reactions that have come to the fore from the Ukrainian side. They, in fact, are saying that this is a new front that Russia has opened. They even tagged it something called ecocide. Do you think that from what Ukraine has been claiming, this is because of increasing global pressure or the diplomatic isolation that we are seeing of Russia?
First of all, we don't know who attacked. As I said, it's not clear who attacked the plant, and any of the reports coming from the front line, of course, each side blames the other. The kind of destruction that has been done to the ecosystems over the past 1 year, this has been discussed within of course, limited circle, because that's not something, the first point of attention. The first point of attention are people who are dying in this conflict. But the attacks on the critical infrastructure have been carried out for the past 1 year by both sides.
Yes.
So it's really it's a peer. I would call it a peer stint at this moment to talk about this in these kind of terms.
Sure, and the lives that have been lost already as far as this war goes. Now the fact that there is a deluge, there's flooding, and there's massive evacuation that is taking place. Also the scare as far as the nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia is concerned. But now just yesterday, we saw how Ukraine came out, and in fact the president, Volodymyr Zelensky, came out and said that they've made great advances on the Eastern Front. They even put out a video about the much-touted counteroffensive. Do you think this is a retaliation to not just perhaps the advances that Ukraine is making, but the narrative that seems to be playing out? Perhaps Russia is trying to win this optics war?
So there has been, again, conflicting reports on the Ukraine's counteroffensive. If we go with the Russian statements, they mentioned the Donetsk direction, that attacks started 2 days back. So for the past 2 days, there have been significant movements on that direction of the front line. And as Russia claimed, the attacks have been suppressed, and Ukrainian troops could not fulfill, as Russian embassy stated, their targets. But if we look at the statements by Ukrainian, authorities and the military commandment, they have stressed that some movements have been seen on the Bakhmut front line. And I think President Zelensky yesterday in his night statement said that there were good news, and he hailed the good news from Bakhmut front line. While some other Kyiv authorities even said that the counteroffensive have not started yet. So again, there have been rather an information warfare used by Ukraine around, or built up around its counteroffensive.
Yes.
I think we have to be really critical reading the statements from both sides.
Sure. Speaking of being critical about statements that are being made, this particular area is under Russia's control. So Russia has installed a mayor in this particular region as well. The mayor came out and said that this is nothing but a terrorist attack. What, in your view, does he mean by that, or who is he pointing towards?
Terrorist attack is any attack on the civilian and critical infrastructure. So since Russia believes the dam was damaged. The power plant, hydropower plant was damaged by Ukrainian shelling. That's why he calls it a terrorist attack. So there is no doubts of the definition what terrorist attack is. Any attack on the critical infra, it's a huge dam. I've been there a year back when the territory was under control of Russians, and we spoke to the people who worked at the dam, and we saw the results of shelling, the missile shelling of the plant on the bridge.
Yes.
So even over a year back now, it was clear that any huge strike will destroy the dam, and it will destroy the lives of tens of thousands of people. And that's what is happening now. So whoever is behind the attack, it's attack against the population, first of all, against the people.
Absolutely. It's the innocents that are always caught in the crossfire, and unfortunately they are the biggest losers of this entire war, which has been dragging on for the last 15 months or so. But Ms. Kondrativa, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 and sharing your perspective. Now, this particular wreck to the dam, the damage to the dam, has not just put Ukraine on high alert, and it's not caused concern just there, but the world is watching. Let's take a look at some of the reactions that have poured in.
I've heard the reports of the explosion at the dam and the risks of flooding. It's too early for me to make any kind of meaningful assessment of the details of what has happened, but it's worth remembering, of course, that the only reason that this is an issue at all is because of Russia's unprovoked invasion, full-scale invasion of Ukraine. We will continue to assess the developing situation, but of course we repeat what we have said throughout this conflict, which is the best thing that Russia could do now is withdraw their troops immediately.
Under the leadership of President Zelensky and with the courage of the armed forces of Ukraine, Russia cannot defeat us on the battlefield. So it targets civilian infrastructure to try to freeze us into submission. Earlier today, Russia blew up a major dam located in Nova Kakhovka, causing significant civilians' evacuations, harsh ecological damages, and threatening the safety of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Russia's actions are the actions of a terrorist state, an aggressor.
Tech giant Apple announced new gadgets and features in what could be the Apple's biggest product launch since the Apple iWatch in 2015. What has got everyone buzzing is the much-anticipated mixed reality headset. CNN's Shelly Molashi gets us these details.
This is a day that's been years in the making.
Apple CEO Tim Cook kicking off the 2023 Worldwide Developers Conference, introducing a mixed reality headset called Apple Vision Pro. Offers both virtual and augmented reality by allowing users to connect apps from Apple and others in a new way.
Blending digital content with the real world can unlock experiences like nothing we've ever seen.
Apple says the headset will go on sale early next year and will cost $3,499. Apple also unveiled new MacBooks, including a 15-inch MacBook Air, and several new features for the iPhone, iPad, and Watch, including improved video conferencing, FaceTime, and messaging features across all products,
including the ability to simply say Siri to activate Siri,
as well as a revamped lock screen for iPad OS, a new caller ID for iPhone users, and a new feature called Check-in, which notifies selected contacts when a user reaches an intended destination.
Whether you're walking home after dark or going for an early morning run, you can start check-in with a family member or friend to let them know when you get home safely.
If a user doesn't reach a destination, Check-in automatically shares useful information like location, battery, and cell service status with selected users. And as big tech companies race to introduce AI-powered tools, Apple took a more subtle approach to artificial intelligence, announcing an update to autocorrect that's using AI to make it more accurate.
With that, it's time for a quick break here on this edition. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
to understand. Akash, we've been telling our audiences that one of the most prominent theories is that a possible quick fix was used on the ground by workers, and that quick fix was perhaps not successful. That's what possibly led to this accident. But then there is also the possibility still that it was a systems failure. Can you tell us more about how the CBI can ascertain this, especially because the CBI, we know, is already looking to identify what the intention of the people on the ground was. But how can they identify this more technical aspect, Akash?
Right. Toya, first of all, it is important to mention here that other than CBI, yes, the particular case has been recommended to CBI. In fact, CBI has, started its investigation. But other than CBI, CRS is also inquiring the case. CRS is the top key officers in railways and is generally, responsible for, giving a fitment certificate to the track, giving a fitment certificate for the speed regularization of new rakes, new trains. So he is the top officer who is actually leading an inquiry, an investigation. Now, sources are saying that since, CBI is also, CBI will in fact will be investigating the whole matter, either they'll take the technical support from railways or they'll, take this particular report from CRS as the base of the inquiry, base of the investigation. But again, as we still don't know as to what was the main reason, because you see, some are saying that, the construction work, the repair work that in fact you are talking about, and in fact we informed our viewers in the morning that a boom replacement work was carried out on the particular section. And, this can be the real reason that because of that particular work, some sort of interference was there in the signaling, because, a boom is also connected to a signal system. So boom is basically, a level crossing. You can consider boom is basically a barrier that is generally used at level crossing. And this boom is generally connected to signaling system. So it is possible that, some sort of interference was done in order to replace the boom. And in that process, something else happened, and the point was set to the another direction. And in fact, the panel was not showing any error. Now, the point and the argument is that if it has happened, whether or not it was intentional, and this is the reason why everyone is stressing on CBI investigation now, because CBI will let us know as to if there was some sort of conspiracy behind this, if it was some sort of intention, some sort of specific mindset, or if it was a mistake.
Our first story continues to be an update on the heartbreaking incident that took place in Odisha, the 3-train collision that led to the loss of more than 230 lives on Friday night. Now, you might remember that the Railway Board had recommended that the investigation into the incident be handed over to the CBI. Central Bureau of Investigation teams are, as we speaking, arriving at the Odisha crash site. On your screens right now, you can see those visuals. The individual in pink is reportedly a CBI official who has arrived on the site itself to conduct that investigation. Remember, while the cause of the incident itself that played out on Friday has to some degree already been recognized. So sources say that it could have been that a possible last-minute fix is what led to the accident. Essentially, that boom replacement work was carried out on a section, and that's what could have led to that problem in interlocking. So they have identified the technical cause, but the CBI investigation is reportedly to investigate whether or not that intervention was done deliberately with malintention or by mistake. That's why the CBI has gotten involved. Now, you'll remember opposition parties like the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee have criticized the involvement of the CBI. They've said that typically the CBI's involvement does not yield quick solutions. My colleague Kamalika is with us right now to bring us more context. Kamalika, tell us more about what it is that the CBI is on the ground to identify. Tell us, for example, who the perpetrators are. Some sources said that the Railway Board had already identified who the individuals responsible were, but the CBI was investigating the cause. Is that correct, or is there more complexity there?
See, CBI will go for a, as I was pointing out, whether there was a malified human intervention or not. That is the question which CBI has to find that answer. That was it a human error or was it the human intervention was there with a malified intention? If it's a malified intention, then that's a criminal act, and then that will be investigated in separate way. So that's why CBI today coming and CBI's investigation becomes very important as well as the criminal part of the case is concerned. If it's a negligence, if it's a human error, then that is looked after by the obviously the railway security, the chairman of railway security team who is there doing the investigation. But whether this was done with some malified intention or not, that is to be seen. That they have to find.
Okay. Kamalika, I do want to ask you right now, what is the size of the CBI team that has arrived on the ground? Can you bring our audiences more details about who the individuals are from the CBI?
3-4 obviously officials are there, and higher officials will also be there, and they have.
Welcome back. News coming in now, where a Delhi-San Francisco Air India flight was diverted to Magadan in Russia. This was due to an engine glitch. We're now learning that the flight has landed safely in Russia. The statement has come to the fore from Air India itself. Anvit, my colleague, getting us more details. Anvit, what exactly happened?
Yeah, see, this flight AI-173 was operating from New Delhi to San Francisco, and it had to make an emergency landing at Magadan Airport in Russia today. What we are being told is that one of the engines of the airplane had developed some technical issue, and this was reported to the closest ATC, which was Magadan, and then permission was sought by the ATC to land the aircraft, and after due permissions and clearances, the flight made an emergency landing at the Magadan Airport in Russia. The spokesperson of the Air India has further informed that the flight was carrying 216 passengers and 16 crew members were on board. If I could read the Air India statement, it says the passengers are being provided support on the ground and will be provided alternate an option to reach their destination at the earliest. Further, the officials of the Air India have maintained that the aircraft is undergoing mandatory checks on ground and that they regret the inconvenience. But certainly a big development that the aircraft had to make emergency landing, and the flight took off around 4 a.m. today from Delhi International Airport, and it was on its way to San Francisco when the technical glitch was detected by the pilots, and therefore the permission was sought, and the flight landed at Magadan.
It has safely landed in Russia. That's the latest that we have gathered. For the moment, Anvit, thank you so much for getting us the latest. Let's now get you a quick roundup of all that's made news here in the country. Let's begin with the BJP's crucial meeting that took place today. Amit Shah, JP Nadda held a key meeting on the 5 poll-bound states. The meeting lasted for about 4.5 hours. According to sources within the BJP, several discussions were held regarding organization and state in charges. Sources have told CNN News 18 that some new faces are likely to be included in the list of national office bearers. President Draupadi Murmu, who is on a 3-day visit to Suriname, was conferred with the highest civilian award of the country, the Grand Order of the Chain of Yellow Star. Taking to Twitter, Prime Minister Modi congratulated the president. He said, and I quote, "The special gesture from the government and the people of Suriname symbolizes the enduring friendship between our two countries." A ticket collector at Mumbai's Vadala station saved a senior citizen's life thanks to his alertness and quick thinking. In a CCTV footage that's shared by Central Railways, it can be seen that the ticket checker rushed to help the senior citizen who otherwise would have fallen between the train and the platform. The other people at the railway station then moved to help her and pulled her away from the train just in the nick of time. Another case of hit and run came to the fore from the national capital. The incident happened on the 3rd of June in the Civil Lines area in Delhi. The accident happened when the bus was turning towards Delhi Vidhan Sabha. The bus driver did not stop after the man came under the bus, fled the spot. 4 people were severely injured after bullets were fired in Delhi's Jafrabad area. The victims were immediately rushed to the nearby hospital. They are currently undergoing treatment. Delhi police has launched the investigation into the matter based on the CCTV footage that has now come to the fore. Police sources say that this could be the result of a gang war. People stole liquor bottles after a truck carrying alcohol cases overturned in Andhra Pradesh's Anakapalli district. Instead of helping the driver, the cleaner and the truck driver, in fact, they escaped with minor injuries. People stole the alcohol bottles that were fallen on ground. The incident occurred on the national highway between Anakapalli and Abhayavaram on Monday evening. Multiple incidents of violence, arson and firing in Sugnu and Sirao necessitated redeployment of additional troops in the general area over the last 48 hours. Additional troops beefed up ongoing extensive area domination operations, ambushes and measures to prevent arson and violence. With that, it's a wrap from my side here on Nation at 5. Shivani joins you next with Plain Speak.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The fight over Congress's pre-poll guarantees in Karnataka is escalating. The Siddaramaiah government has now issued a detailed guideline for the implementation of the Gruha Jyoti scheme, which promised free electricity to all households up to 200 units of power every month, and the Shakti scheme that offered free travel to women in state-run transport corporation buses. These are amongst the 5 guarantees announced by the Congress in its manifesto for the recently held polls. The Siddaramaiah government is yet to announce the guidelines for the remaining 3, but